Good evening, humans. Tonight, I have a scary story. Here is the story. The thing that watched from the ceiling. I didn't tell anybody about the ceiling at first. I didn't want to sound insane, and honestly, I didn't trust what I was seeing. I told myself it was stress, overwork, insomnia, anything but what it looked like. But I know what I saw now. And I know it saw me too. It started the first week I moved into my new apartment, a tiny studio on the third floor of a rundown building near campus. The kind of place where the paint is always peeling and the hallway lights flicker just as a little often. But it was cheap and I was broke, and that was enough. Classes were brutal that semester, late nights, long assignments, non-stop anxiety, but I didn't mind. I told myself I'd adapt. Then I woke up at 3:11 a.m. for the first time. No sound woke me, no nightmare, no movement. I opened my eyes and was just awake, suddenly, completely. The room was still, dark. The only sound was the low hum of my mini fridge. I rolled over, told myself it was nothing, and went back to sleep. But the next night, I woke up at 3 a.m. again. And again. And again. 5 nights in a row. That's when the real nightmares began. On the 6th night, I woke up gasping. In the dream, someone had been whispering in my ear. Don't look up. The whisper was cold and flat, like it came from inside my skull instead of beside my bed. I told myself it was stress. Fear feeds on whatever it can find. I reached for my phone. 3:11 a.m. For some reason, that time made my skin crawl. I lay still, listening to the silence. Something felt wrong. The air felt heavier, as if the room was full of breath that wasn't mine. My heart pounded against the mattress. I don't know why, but I slowly turned my head and looked at the ceiling. At first I didn't see anything at all, then my eyes adjusted, and I realized the ceiling wasn't flat anymore. It had texture. No, a shape. Something big was clinging to the ceiling, pressed flat like a spider. Its arms and legs were long, jointed, thin as branches. Its fingers stretched wide, grasping the plaster with too many knuckles. And its body, its body, was wrong, bent inward, twisted like it had folded itself to fit the space. Its head hung down slightly, just enough for me to see the hollow outline of the face. Then its eyes opened, 2 pale circles, milky white, staring directly at me. I froze. Not a breath, not a sound. Its arms shifted slightly, fingertips stretching, not moving towards me, just adjusting its weight, like it had been up there for a long time and had gotten tired of holding its own body. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just shut my eyes and pretended to sleep. I lay paralyzed for what felt like an hour. When I opened my eyes again, the ceiling was empty. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I convinced myself it had been sleep paralysis, a hallucination, common, normal, harmless. But then the footprints appeared. Not human footprints, not animal tracks. Dark, smudged, shaped on the ceiling. 4 sets of long, strange handprints. Like something had climbed down from the vent, crawled across the ceiling, and settled right above my bed. I stared at them from the floor, shivering. The ceiling was 10 feet high. No way to reach it. No way for anyone human to be up there. I scrubbed the marks with a broom handle and wet rag, but they wouldn't come off. The stain seemed baked into the plaster somehow, as if heat or acid had burned them in. That night I slept with the lights on. It didn't matter. 3:11 a.m. I woke up to the sound of breathing above me. Slow, wet, too deep to be human. didn't look. I stared straight at the wall until sunrise. I went to class the next morning with shaking hands. When my friend Jamie asked if I was okay, I lied and said I was just tired. But Jamie frowned. "You look pale, like you haven't slept in days." I laughed it off. "Just insomnia." Jamie paused. "Insomnia does make you flinch every time someone moves." I didn't answer. I didn't dare tell her the truth. That night I decided to sleep somewhere else, anywhere else. But my body rebelled. When midnight rolled around, I felt sick, feverish, dizzy, like my body had been dragged back toward the apartment. I fought it, tried to stay awake, but exhaustion won, and I woke up in my bed at 3:11 a.m., not even remembering falling asleep. That time I didn't look at the ceiling, but something tapped on it. Once, twice, 3 long drags of claws tracing the plaster. I silently cried until dawn. On the 8th night, something changed. The breathing wasn't above the bed anymore. It was in the corner. At first, I forced myself to turn my head. The creature was clinging to the corner where the ceiling met the wall. Arms stretched wide, head tilted like it was listening. Its glowing eyes reflected the yellow lamplight, swirling faintly like smoke trapped behind glass. It watched me for a long, dreadful minute, then it did something new. It smiled, not a human smile, not even close. Its mouth unhinged, teeth unfolded from inside like rows of needles. A line of drool hit the floor, sizzling when it landed. It dropped to the ground with a soft, wet thud. I scrambled back, slamming against the wall, expecting it to attack, but it didn't. It just stood there, watching me, breathing, studying me like I was the experiment. Then it did something I'll never forget. It lifted one long, thin finger and pointed directly at me and whispered, "Awake." Its voice was low, rough, barely shaped like words, like something copying human speech without understanding it. I screamed finally, loud and ragged. The creature scuttled back towards the ceiling with horrifying speed, like a spider retreating into its web. I ran out of the apartment barefoot, sprinting down the hallway as people opened their doors to see what happened. I didn't stop running until I reached the street. I refused to go back. I stayed with Jamie for 3 nights, but on the 4th night something tapped on her bedroom ceiling. At 3:11 a.m. she didn't wake up. I did. The tapping moved slowly across the ceiling directly above me. I held my breath, praying Jamie wouldn't notice. The creature didn't come down, not that night, but I understood the message. It wasn't tied to the apartment. It was tied to me. I moved out of the state a week later. I never told the landlord why. I never told Jamie the truth. But every night since, without fail, I wake up at 3:11 a.m. every single night. And even though I sleep with the lights on, even though I stare at the ceiling until my eyes burn, sometimes I see faint handprints appear in the plaster, just for a moment, like something pressed its weight into the ceiling before skittering away to wait until I fall asleep again. And sometimes when the room goes too quiet and the air grows heavy, the shadows feel like they're learning, and the shadows feel like they're leaning closer. I swear I hear that same voice whispering from the dark, "Awake." I don't think it's done with me. Not yet. Did you find that scary? If you did, like and subscribe. Have a scary night and spooky nightmares.